Good evening. Welcome to OptionsTenders, the weekend edition. We're taking a look at SPX on multiple time frames. We will be looking at, we'll do a little commentary as we go on what's coming up next week. It should be a huge telling week with the end of the month close coming up on Thursday and FOMC. So stick around. Let's jump into it. We have SPX on the monthly time frame. We have FOMC on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, we're ending it a weekly, and clearly we'll be looking at the monthly candle as well to see if we get a reversal signal. So there's been 63 consecutive days closing above the 20-day moving average on the daily time frame. That hasn't happened since 1998. There's some other statistics. In other words, we're stretched. Okay, so even if you're bullish, you should be looking for a reversal anytime now. And then the options expected move for the week is about 102 points to the plus or minus side. No bias to that. Clearly, I've had a bias to the downside, but we hit the upper edge again last week. So, yeah, right now we're still in the primary wave 5. We're looking for a top. I think this might be the top, which leads us either into the bottom of the channel. There's another channel bottom here as well, or some sort of sideways trade for quite some time. And I've mentioned that in a couple different weekend analysis. We're looking for a time and price. So it could be, the flat pattern there. Here's an expanding wedge. Or diamond bottom, whatever you want to say this is. But it was a consolidation for a very long time before a breakout. And let's go ahead and close this up and look at some of those indicators. So we have our moving averages here. Let's dive in closer as we look. We always want to, for the new people here, we've been looking at this since the last top that we had here. We had a great reversal off of that. Did not get most of that trade for the second part of the reversal. Unfortunately, I thought we were going to have a bounce before that. But the important thing is 1929, 2000 into 2025. And then also in confluence is a 2008, 2022, and going into 2025 again. So if we look very close into the candle, yes, we are breaking above. We're just peaking above that 2008 trend line. And so that's what we want to see on the monthly time frame. What kind of close do we get? Do we get a big green candle like this? That will be no sign of any reversal. And then we have to keep in mind that it could be, a continuation and a breakout. Or are we stretched out? Are we going to get a reversal here this week? And if we get a pretty big move, let's say 250 points plus, at minimum 150 points, you could see a doji candle here, which means we're rejecting off of this danger zone that I keep calling it. Okay, and then I pointed out in the members video, it's only $4.99 a month. If you want to get into there, we explain a lot of the trades that we do and such and with the Discord. So we're getting really stretched from this 8 EMA. And that often happens at these reversals. Okay, so you see this one, we got right way above it, and it's just a reversion to the mean. Even if we're going to continue higher, let's go to, I showed a couple examples like this one. So you see these nice big green candles getting way above the 8 EMA. Even just a reversion to the mean is a correction that's due here. And we're in resistance. Okay, so there's a high probability that we're going to get some sort of reversal this week. And that's what we'll be looking for. And so here's another situation. I remember this when I was going on vacation to Quebec. And I told my wife, I said, something's coming up. Something is just coming up. And the price just seemed like it was going up forever, month by month by month. And then when we were on vacation, that's when we got a big reversal. That's when you got that. You actually had a reversal candle here, even though price made a little bit higher high. So you can consider that probably some sort of wave 4 in there, and then a wave 5 to create this wick. And then we had that Corona crash. It was inevitable. that the news came after the chart. But you see how far we got away from that 8 EMA, and then we had our reversal. Same thing here, same thing here. It's over and over and over. We also went over this one too. Even though it looks a little different, you had this nice big green candle. We got far away from the 8 EMA, and pretty soon we gave it up. And this is not that same situation. Barely holding on to it before reversing. Okay, enough with the commentary. Let's go through a lot of these indicators. So we did the moving averages here. We're still in a bullish posture. We have the DMARC. Nothing has changed here. Clearly, it's not going to change each month, but if you're brand new, we continue to look at these. We have a 1-2 count so far. We have the crossover on the MACD. We actually crossed over back positive, but we still have this negative divergence here. We have the RSI with negative divergence, and we're going to watch the slow stochastic, which is going to be a tailwind or headwind for the MACD. And clearly, the MACD was rolling over, showing momentum was waning, and then you had the slow stoke with a headwind against that and actually helped curl back over. So if we start to see both of these curl over, I think that will be the start of our recession. Not looking at that yet. Let's go to SPY. You know, this is just another look. This 2008 there, and we're right on that trend line right now. So this is a lot more clean look for the SPY. Now SPX, I love those charts better because you don't have the skewing of dividends. So before we continue on with SPY, we might as well go to VIX. We haven't looked at that in a while on the monthly time frame. And so we're breaking down from that trend line that we had there. We're still in this rising phase, so I do suspect we'll get a higher low. We'll see what happens from here. So just looking for some sort of reversal on this monthly candle. Let's go back to SPX. Weekly. On the weekly traditional look, here's that 1929 trend line. We were fighting with it here. Ended up getting above. So is this a breakout? Sure. Let's see what next candle looks for. So we're looking for, let's see what next candle ends up being. We're looking for a reversal candle, some sort of maybe, it could be anything. It could be a doji, indecision. It could be a cloud cover. It could be an engulfing red candle. Anything could happen here. But let's see what the market tells us. At this point, we don't have any signal of a reversal. Moving averages, clearly that posture is all positive. I do suspect that we could see some of these targets down here lower. That's why I still have this bar here. You have the 50 and the 20 moving average on the weekly time frame. The 20 is our most important moving average on the weekly time frame, in my opinion. So since the momentum's still up here, again, just like these peaks, we're getting well away from the 8 EMA. And I think we could see something, who knows, like this. Big engulfing candle. DMARC, we're at a 4 count. We already had a 9 count signal, had a little bit of a consolidation, and now we're in the middle of a next count here, 4 count. So no setup. MACD is still heading higher. We are well overbought. Slow stoke may start to roll over. That could be our first sign of things starting to weaken, but our sell signal will be when it crosses the 80 here. So keep an eye on that. All right, so let's go to VIX again. We don't have to look at any volume profiles because we're often into all-time highs, so there's no volume to look at. On the weekly time frame, broke down from this trend line here. You see some phases, some cycles here. Possible low that we got there. we actually have a new low, so I might have to adjust these. I was playing around with them. We'll see what happens with this. So I'm relying on the daily time frame right now because I really wanted these to match with some of these lows out here, and I might have to shorten the length on some of these cycles. We'll see. SPX. So again, no reversal candle. Nothing to see here. We are at the bottom of it. So we're at support here. You notice support here in the back of this consolidation area. We're at that bottom right now. So that's something to kind of look at. Maybe we get some sort of reversal candle coming up this week. On the daily time frame. And you see us peaking above that 2008 trend line. We had problems with the 1929. We got held above it, and we're trying to continue higher here. So our moving averages, again, positive. DMARC, we're at a 7 count so far. We had that 913, then a consolidation, and we're at a 7. So no setup yet. All right, we're well into overbought territory once again. So you know, there's no near term. There's a class B. Looks like a class B divergence here where you have equal highs. That's all I can really give you on that one. So the slow stoke is pointing upward. That's not going to help us out to the downside at all. So far, just really positive. The momentum is certainly just stuck right now. So we'll be looking. The breadth is not good. Let's check it out. So here's our breadth indicator, our summation index, and we're not quite into extreme bullish territory. So that could curl up, but I was trying to make a trend line to see if that trend was breaking, and we're actually heading lower now. So I can add a new divergence starting at this point. Not sure if it's going to be a trend, but from this peak here, we are making new highs and we're making lower highs on the summation. That is a big note to put on a little post-it to put on your computer. Let's go to VIX one last time here on the daily time frame. And again, that trend line broke there, but we're still on this wedge here. So this nice setup formation is looking good. I put the tip of the wicks here, and that closed there, and this wick here, and we're making just a slight new low. So let's look for reversal candle, and it just so happens that this is at the ideal. The ideal low is 728, which is Monday. So if we get our ideal low, very similar to how we got our ideal low here, that was a very good setup there. Now, we did make new lows, but it looks like we might have a new low here coming up on Monday, especially with the market gapping up. It looks like we're gapping up. And by the way, just to mention, ES now has 3 open gaps. I've never seen that. I've only been in the business since 2008 is when I started studying, but I've never seen 3 open gaps, and I've never seen on ES 2 of those gaps are huge gaps, and they've been open for so long. So just making history once again, and now we'll put that into the archive and learn off of that. All right, that's it, you guys. That's what I want to show you. I think we covered everything. Let's once again bring up the options expected moves. I do this every week by hand, and it really does give me a good idea of whether we're really continuing to trend or if we're going sideways. And so I like to view these. For example, this is going sideways, a sideways trade. We didn't really touch each end of the options expected move for a while, and so that gives me a little bit of bias that we're going to touch either end after the breakout. And whether you're bullish or bearish, you can put on straddle, strangle type plays where one end of the options market could hit one end of the options expected moves, and you can make some money off of those trades. So you're playing pretty much both sides. If the market did nothing, that's when you would lose money. So look into those option strategies if you're interested, if you're new, looking for that. We hit the upper edge again last week after not hitting it for 2 days. So you have consolidation. And my guess would have been the lower end. But again, if you wanted to play that both sides, you could have on this. And so I think we're completely stretched out. I think Microsoft looks like a complete Elliot wave structure. I think this one looks like it's, again, near complete. You can always have one or two little candles up here, but on the lower time frames, this looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move, where this, no matter how you count the rest, you have a completion of something here, and we're going to get our correction for either a resumption of this structure here, or we have another structure that needs to be completed, meaning a 1, 2, 1, 2, where maybe we're already at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's end of wave 3, blah, blah, blah. I know a lot of you don't do Elliott wave. And then this 1, 2 down here needs to be completed, meaning a 4 and a 5. Okay. And then for all of you that, again, are new, I also have an alternative play here, and I might as well just show it real quick, where we're still looking for a correction. And here's my ending diagonal here. This is my expanding ending diagonal of a very large super cycle. And this being the last wave, we have an A, B, C into 1, 2, 3. They're all 3 waves, 4, and then 5. But this may not. What if this isn't a 3-wave move into A? Then, sorry, if this is a 5-wave move, then this is going to be an A. You get this B, and we're looking for a C wave much, much higher. All right, but I am going to look at this so far as this is the last move that you have your A, B, C in here for wave 5, and this is all complete. But it is not unheard of for an expanding ending diagonal for the 5th wave to be the longest wave. So if this comes down, corrects, all right, with whatever news, tariffs or whatever this week, you have 2 levels, 23.6 and 382. This zone here, all right, that's 580 to about 600. And I have to adjust that with price as it goes higher. If that holds, then we could see a whole nother blow off top up here to end all of this as a C wave to end wave 5 of a expanding structure. All right. And I will tell you, I'll give you a little hint. We're going to certainly take a look at this in the Discord, is Tesla. It should give us a real good hint. If Tesla breaks to the upside, everybody's, it's all over the place, all over X and the charts. If it breaks to the upside after this, it's getting tight price action, breaks to the upside, I think this might also be very bullish after that move. Okay. And you guys know what I'm talking about for the members that I go over Tesla. I still think Tesla could have some downside before going much, much higher, but I think that will be a big clue. If Tesla's going to go parabolic and kind of has this same expanding setup, then I think the market's going to do the same. Okay. Now, on the other hand, NVIDIA is hitting a very, very good spot we're shorting it. We shorted it again on Friday. So, if that's very negative, I think that has a little bit more say than Tesla does. So we'll see what happens. All right. See you in the next video. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe.